Hey guys, let's talk about balancing chemical equations. A chemical equation is the representation of a chemical reaction using symbols and formulas of the substances and elements in a periodic table. Here are some examples of unbalanced chemical equations. And here are some that are balanced. What make these two different is the things highlighted in red, also known as coefficients. This is how equations are actually balanced using coefficients. Only chemical and formula equations are balanced, not word equations. Those don't need to be balanced. As to why they're balanced, that's because of the products and reactants. When we look at this chemical equation, N2, nitrogen gas, and H2, hydrogen gas, are the reactants, and NH3, also known as ammonia, that is the product. And this is why we balance them. So, to look into this further, there is the law of conservation of mass or matter. And we can see that this law states that mass cannot be created nor destroyed. This law also states that the mass of the reactants in a chemical equation must equal the mass of the products in a chemical equation. So, they must be balanced to accurately reflect this law. As to how to balance, well, it's quite simple. You just have to add coefficients to the elements and compounds so that when you do a little bit of math, they are equal on both sides. Let's look at this example. So, we have tin oxide plus hydrogen gas, which makes tin plus water. This equation is balanced, and let's look at why. We have one tin on the side of the reactants and the same thing on the product. We have two oxygens as the reactant and the same thing on the other side. As for hydrogens, we have the hydrogen has a subscript of 2 and a coefficient of 2. When these two get multiplied, we get 4. And if you look at the other side, we also have the subscript of 2 and a coefficient of 2. And when you multiply them together, you get 4. Therefore, there's 4 hydrogens on both sides, which turns out for this equation to be balanced. When we look back at this example of nitrogen plus hydrogen, which equals ammonia, we can see that when we added the coefficients, which is in red, it was also balanced. First, we had 2 nitrogens and 2 hydrogens on the side of the reactants, and then on the products, we had 3 hydrogens and only 1 nitrogen, which doesn't make much sense because now mass has been destroyed and created, which we cannot do when we look at the law of conservation of mass. So, adding the coefficient of 3 to the hydrogens and adding the coefficient of 2 to ammonia made this equation balanced. Balancing chemical equations can be difficult, and most of the time it's about trial and error. But when you keep trying, there is going to be an answer, and the equation will turn out to be balanced at one point. If this interested you at all, and if you want to learn more about chemistry, make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and we'll see you in our next video.